Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. I called the police on my neighbor after she keyed my car because of the books that I write. After that, am I the jerk for saying I'm not going to take care of my pregnant girlfriend's baby when he's born? And after that, won't replace a brand new lawnmower, but will let me return and reorder? Okay. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to key anyone's car. Fine with me. I'll throw a few eggs at it instead. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. I called the police on my neighbor after she keyed my car because of the books that I write. I'm a single woman in my early 30s, making my living writing and self-publishing fiction novels. The genre I write has a majority of the plot being steamy, so I typically don't tell people what I write, but I do tell them I write books for a living under a pen name. And if you're questioning my writing abilities, I have an editor to correct my mistakes. I'm not hiding it per se, but I'm not telling everyone I meet what I do for a living, and none of my neighbors knew, only a bunch of friends. I live in a house alone. Pretty much all of my neighbors are either young families or retired couples. My next door neighbor is a young couple. We've been polite to each other, but haven't been close or anything. Lately, the husband, let's call him Roger, became very friendly towards me, which I tried to ignore, but he's been getting too flirty for my liking, and I started to avoid him. They had a barbecue over the bank holiday weekend, and I was taking rubbish out to put in my bin. Roger looked at me, waved hi, and whispered something to his friend, and they both watched me very carefully, which was incredibly creepy. On my way through my garden, I saw Roger's wife, Dahlia, leaving the house with her friend, and they both looked at me with disgust and whispered something to each other. It was weird, and I hurried back inside. The next morning, I found some religious leaflets put through my letterbox. They were just printed on normal printer paper and warning about sinful behavior and going to heck, etc. Threw them away, but kept finding similar leaflets put through my letterbox for the next week. Since I'm working from home, I decided to see who's leaving these leaflets, and to my surprise, it was Dahlia. I decided to confront her and ask her to stop putting religious leaflets through my door. Despite me being polite, she was not happy. She told me that I should rethink my life because what I write is disgusting. It's pretty vanilla. And she found her husband secretly reading it at night. She kept going on and on how I'm going to heck, how I have no morals, etc. Well, I told her to stay away from me and discuss this with her husband, and I closed the door in her face. Don't know who, but someone told them what I do for a living. A day later, I found an insult painted on my door. A few days later, I caught her keying my car. She was almost done with another insult. Well, I called the police on her, and since I installed cameras after this incident, she's been taken to court over keying my car. I talked to my other neighbor. She asked about the police, about it, and she told me that I went overboard, that Dahlia was clearly insecure, but she's a lovely woman and a great mother, and I should have talked to her instead of calling the police and given her a chance to change her behavior. Am I the jerk for calling the police and not giving Dahlia a chance? If she's keying your car and painting rude names on your door, she is not a lovely woman. Just because she doesn't like what you write doesn't give her the right to destroy your property. It appears that the behavior was escalating, so getting the police involved was necessary. Not the jerk. Exactly. She had so many opportunities to stop, but instead Dahlia chose to gossip, shame, push her beliefs. She was asked to stop and instead escalated further by keying the car not once, but twice. She deserves every bit of punishment she gets. She invaded your space, damaged your property, and made you feel unsafe in your own home. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her neighbor? Please let us know. Maybe neighbor should read those books too. Find out how to give hubby what he's really after. Am I the jerk for saying I'm not going to take care of my pregnant girlfriend's baby when he's born? I met my girlfriend several months ago. On our, fourth date, she told me that she was pregnant from her ex. I've been told by friends and family that I should have left at that point, but I was really dumb and really desperate at that time because it was my first relationship, so I wasn't really thinking and I went along with the relationship with her. I loved her. She was like a perfect match for me and other stuff. However, it wasn't until this month that things started to be a big problem. My girlfriend started talking to me about paying for some baby stuff and what her expectation was for me once the baby was born. We originally had an agreement that it was only going to be her and her ex. He's still around, he's not a deadbeat, that would be taking care of the baby. However, she told me recently that her ex was out of a job and doesn't even have a car and is tight on money. So she expects me to help pay for the stuff that she needs, like diapers, baby clothes, and whatever. I said, forget that. I did not agree to that. I might change a diaper a couple of times or feed him once or twice, but I'm not going to be fully taking care of him. What on earth? Especially not spending money on baby stuff. Like, I barely have money myself. I'm 19 years old, by the way. She got mad because I said I wasn't going to help her buy baby things and help her take care of the baby after he's born. This was a big argument that lasted for a long time. Am I the jerk here? I'm going to probably go against the grain here, but I'm going with not the jerk. As a single mom, I don't expect anyone to step up and care for my kid. That's mine and her father's job. I welcome positive male role models in her life, and if they want to do extra for her, then I'm extremely grateful for those actions. But I absolutely do not expect them to fund any part of her life or take on a parent role. Yep, not the jerk. OP, she may have really liked you, but she was also looking for someone to take her deadbeat ex's place. And yes, he is a deadbeat, no matter what he says he's going to do. When the baby is born, your girlfriend will stop being available to you and will be full-time taking care of a newborn baby. If you stick around, you will be pulled into sharing responsibility. And as soon as you've established a pattern of taking responsibility for the kid, you can, in some states in the US, not sure where you are, be made legally responsible for child support even if you leave. You're going to essentially lose your girlfriend to her baby, and you're going to risk being sucked into child support for life if you stick around. Do both of you a favor and get out of her life. You're the jerk. Look, if you ain't man enough to be a father to that baby, then quit wasting this girl's time. You make it very clear that you only want her for one reason, and that reason is not to help her with anything important in her life. I've dealt with plenty of guys like you until I finally found the right one who didn't mind that I have 4 kids with different dads. My new man provides for all of us because he is a real man who makes real money. He also agreed to not marry me on paper so that I can stay getting my benefits for me and my kids. He even doesn't mind me getting with some of my exes now and then because he is secure in our relationship. I know he ain't happy about it, but he knows it's important to me, so he doesn't try to stop me. He respects my strong independence and never tries to mansplain anything to me. Let this girl go so she can find a real man, 'cause boy, you ain't cutting it. Well, don't you sound like quite the catch? Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his girlfriend? Please let us know. If OP doesn't want to be a stepdad, I hope he doesn't try to stay with her. Won't replace a brand new broken lawnmower, but will let me return and reorder? Okay. So I bought a riding lawnmower a few years ago from a big home store. I paid for delivery, and upon said delivery, it didn't start. The delivery truck had left by the time I had gotten gas in it and figured this out, so I called the store. I explained that my brand new, just delivered today lawnmower was not starting, and immediately the person on the phone asked me if I purchased the extended warranty. I hadn't, so they told me that it would cost $100 to have them come get the lawnmower, and then however much more the repairs were. Mind you, it was brand new. In my mind, they should bring me a new one to replace the one that didn't work upon delivery. No matter how much I argued, this worker was sticking to their story. I quickly changed my tactic and asked what the return policy was. As long as a return was initiated within 30 days, I could have a full refund, including the cost of delivery, and the store would come pick up the lawnmower for me at no additional cost. So I pointed out that the store wouldn't replace my non-working item by taking one trip to my house to pick up the non-working one and bring me one that worked, and instead would make 2 trips to pick up the one that didn't work and then bring me the new one I purchased the second time as a totally different transaction? The worker said yes, and when I tried to point out how that made no sense, he didn't want to hear it. So right then and there, I initiated a refund. I then immediately ordered a new one and had him set up the delivery date. After that date was set, we had to schedule the date for pickup of the old mower, and I made myself unavailable for any date other than the delivery date for the new one. So even though he had insisted they wouldn't just bring me a replacement mower and pick up the first one, they were now doing just that, but with the additional paperwork of processing a return and additional paperwork for delivery of the new mower. The manager called me later that day to apologize for the hassle, and they ended up waiving my delivery fee. I worked at a Lowe's in customer service. It's atrocious, but I can confirm that this type of crap is common. Most systems aren't set up to process what you need done. We literally had to return and then sell a new one to set up delivery. Quite often, we'd set up an exchange with a delivery and then just swap out the items. Odds are that person was never trained for an exchange sale. 90% of the store I worked at wasn't trained on doing one. Heck, a good 90% weren't trained to do a return at all. Am I the jerk for deciding to separate our finances just because my wife refused to buy a pair of earrings for my daughter? My wife and I have one daughter from a previous marriage each. Mine is called Pen, she's 15, and hers is Amy, she's 17. We've been married for 10 years now. Our finances are joint because we don't care for money. She makes $70,000 to $80,000 and I make $180K to $200K per year. She's in charge of our finances. My wife has the weird fixation on having the kids earn their stuff, and while I agree, both of our daughters are well behaved, good students, and kind, I don't see why they have to earn every single thing daily. For example, if my daughter is working in the kitchen at night and goes to sleep without putting her laptop away because she'll work again in the morning, then my wife decides that she can't eat anything sweet that day. I've voiced, with better words, that I find it stupid. Same goes for her daughter. She's prone to forget things easily, and if she doesn't remember to put this or that thing away, my wife removes her phone or tablet. Yesterday was my day off, and I stayed back home resting while my wife and our kids went out to buy my mother-in-law a Mother's Day gift. Around 5 p.m., my daughter came to my room and said that my wife bought Amy a necklace, and when she asked for a pair of earrings she loved, my wife refused because the night before she stayed up until late watching Netflix when she knows she's not supposed to. This isn't the first time my wife refuses to buy my daughter things, and honestly, it boils my blood. My daughter is a really good kid. I work hard to make sure my family has every or most of the things they want just for my wife to tell them no because they are kids being kids. When my wife came into our room, I was honest. I said that her rule was utterly stupid, and I was done putting up with that. That I don't particularly like her buying one thing for her daughter while the other had nothing, and that until she accepts to attend therapy with me and fix the problem, our money will be taken care of separately, and the joint account will be for the house and emergency matters only. This means she now has to pay half of the utilities and some other things. She didn't like it because her money will be cut short, and implied I was financially mistreating her by doing this over a pair of earrings. She went to her parents, and my father-in-law called me soon after. He said I was a jerk and that it was my obligation to provide for my family. ETA, I might not have explained myself. I'm still paying most of our joint expenses, like 60 to 70%, but before this, my wife kept almost all her money to herself and only put toward the emergency fund we set. Still, I put a bigger amount. She's not happy about us separating our finances because this means she has to contribute to the house now, and she'll have less money for her daughter's college fund and her fun. ETA 2, thanks for all your replies and comments. I'll try to read all of them, and we'll be answering some. I also want to thank you for all of your advice. My wife still refuses to do therapy, and as some of you said, this will be my hill to die on. If she doesn't agree by next Wednesday, I'm sure we will divorce. Someone also asked for our ages. I'm 36, male, and she's 45, female. Not the jerk. Mainly because you offered couples therapy as a way to work on the problem. Also because your wife isn't disciplining your respective daughters, she's just being mean. Everybody in the world forgets things, even your wife. A gentle reminder is sufficient for that. Watching Netflix too late? Yeah, find me a teenager who doesn't. She's just picking on them. I did notice too that you stated you would still put enough in the joint account to cover the bills and household expenses. So no, you're not financially mistreating anyone. Keep trying for therapy. Your kids need help. OP. Yes, I've seen a few people confused by that, but I will only withdraw my money for things like fun money, and I'll put only for our house, kids, and emergency expenses. I meant she had to put more because before this, she didn't really do it. Of course, even with this, I'll still pay for most of this because I have the bigger income, and it's only fair. Am I the jerk for wearing a matching workout set to my stepdaughter's college graduation? My stepdaughter graduated college, so my husband, myself, and our kids, the ones we have together, travel to watch the ceremonies, take her to dinner, give her gifts, and spend time with her since she will be all over during the summer with her friends and mom's side before she starts grad school in the fall. We had to fly in to see her, so I was wearing a comfy matching workout set in her school colors to celebrate on the flight and had a dress and heels in my carry-on to change into before the ceremony. Unfortunately, we had a delayed flight and things were very hectic and we barely got there in time for the graduation, and our kids wanted to stop and pick out flowers for her. My young son got very sick, and with all the chaos and taking care of the kids and getting there with the traffic, I never ended up changing because it completely slipped my mind and I have zero idea how. I think I was just very exhausted. My stepdaughter was very upset and was very warm to her dad and half-siblings, but was cold with me. I asked her privately what was wrong, and she told me she was furious with how disrespectful I was with my clothing. People were dressed kind of casually because the big ceremony was outdoors in the football stadium, and that she wanted nice pictures with everyone dressed up. She said if she were my real kid, I would have never done what I had done. She also told her dad that I was banned from future events of hers because she knows I will be a terrible person and wear sweatpants to her wedding. I apologized and tried to explain what had happened and that I was very proud of her and was very sorry she felt like an afterthought. I told her we could all dress up for dinner and take better pictures, but she was angry at my suggestion. She has not spoken to me and has not spoken to my husband since. He apologized but tried to defend me. Am I the jerk? Edit. I can clearly see that I was a jerk. Workout clothes are my everyday clothes and I feel really stupid. I will work to make it up to my stepdaughter. Whoa, you are super forever the jerk. I call BS you didn't forget. When I started reading, I expected you to say your luggage was lost. That would have been a valid excuse. Nothing you said was a valid excuse. What is wrong with you? It would have been better not to bring flowers if it meant you could have worn something nicer. It would have been better for you to walk in late so you could have changed rather than wear what you were wearing. Why were you wearing workout clothing when you weren't working out? Because it's comfy? If you're honest, comfort is not the reason you chose that outfit. Your stepdaughter was an afterthought, and don't pretend otherwise. You're the jerk, I hope she cuts you off. And her dad is the jerk for allowing you to dress that way on a day that was intended to celebrate what is a very important milestone achievement. Am I the jerk for calling my baby daddy's wife an idiot? My baby daddy, Luca, 34, male, and I, 23, female, have a 1-year-old daughter named Ivy. I'm not proud to admit it, but I was the other woman. Luca was one of my friend's professors. I met him when my friend was showing her work at an art gallery hosted by him, and I was mesmerized. We began to hook up soon after. It took me 6 months to find out about Juliet, 29, female, his then girlfriend, now wife. I was the one who told her everything, and she has despised me ever since. I don't blame her though. I found out I was pregnant 2 months after we broke up. I have a really strong support system, and my family was okay with helping me, so I decided to keep my daughter. I told Luca and Juliet, who decided to forgive him, and Luca said that it was my decision, but Juliet went off, saying that I couldn't have her, that this was a mistake, a sin, and that I'd already ruined her life enough. My friends called me the jerk for keeping Ivy, but she was blameless, and I don't regret it. Fast forward to now. My daughter is 1, and Luca and Juliet are now married. I gave Luca the choice to be out of Ivy's life because I thought I owed Juliet that much, but he refused, and my daughter loves him so much. She also loves Juliet, and luckily, Juliet loves her too. I'm grateful for that, and I'm okay with Juliet forming a bond with my daughter because she's her stepmom and will be part of her life. The problem is that, now that they're married, she has demanded a lot of things. First, she wants more custody time. We have 70-30 because Luca has been traveling for work. She wants to take Ivy for a full week instead of 2 to 3 days. She also wants to take Ivy to France to meet her family, and she wants to be able to make decisions for her with us. With all of this, I was okay. I truly was. But then she said she wanted Ivy to call her Mama, since I'm Mom/Mommy, and wants to rotate Mother's Day. I thought she was bluffing, so I said, haha, you're an idiot, no, without thinking. She took great offense in this, and I said I won't teach my daughter to call her Mama, and if she wants to do it, she has to decide it herself since she's not her mom, and I'm very much in the picture, and I'll always be. I said I won't rotate Mother's Day either, at least not until a few years, because this is my baby. She stormed out after calling me a name, and I called Luca as soon as it happened. He thinks I should just indulge her, that she deserves it for what we did to her. But I said that I didn't do anything. I didn't even know she existed, and when I found out, I cut him off, and that my daughter is not a coin that'll be used to pay every wronging she feels. Am I really the jerk? ETA, since a lot of people are commenting this, I have a lawyer. Everything is set through a lawyer, and she was simply asking, demanding, things, so we could take it to legal means. I won't. I've had a lawyer since day one after Luca agreed to be in Ivy's life. Our custody agreement is a legal one. Not the jerk. You didn't do anything to her. Baby daddy played you both and now wants to use your daughter as a pawn to keep his wife happy. Gross. As soon as they have a kid of their own, they're going to ghost OP and her daughter so fast. OP needs to protect her kids starting right now. OP. Juliet doesn't want any kids. Luca had a vasectomy after Ivy was born. He had a vasectomy, but she's trying to steal your kid? Weird. OP. She doesn't believe in blended families because her own stepmother was a monster. She's really good with Ivy and loves her. Her only problem is me. You should talk to a lawyer then, because if they aren't going to have a kid of their own, then it's more likely they're going to try and get custody of your daughter and get you out of the picture. OP. We actually have a legal custody agreement. That's why I said 70-30. That's what the court shows. And a few other things, like if we want to take Ivy out of the city, state, or country, we both need written permission from the other parent, as well as a handwritten full disclosure of what's intended to do in the trip. Say, I want to take her to the beach. I have to explain what's the plan with this. Thus, because Juliet feared I would take Ivy away from Luca, so she backfired herself. Everything that happens between us is sent to my lawyer immediately, and since I live with my boyfriend now, he has cameras inside his house because it got broken into twice. So this conversation is recorded so she can't twist it in court. I'm really taking care of my sweet pea. Am I the jerk for telling my parents' friends the real reason why I disowned them? Some background. I, 22 male, used to think I was an only child because I didn't know my father's side of the family. My father is from Dresden in Germany. My mom is Latina. Well, I knew about them but never actually visited them. Since we live in another country, it was only phone calls until last year when I visited Mina Oma, grandma, that I found out something terrible. To summarize, my dad was married and they had 4 kids when he met my mom. My mom knew he was married, so my dad ended up divorcing his wife because my mom got pregnant and disowned his kids. My dad didn't pay child support and didn't see them again. I was disgusted by this because I never knew about it. My parents were fervent Catholics. They don't believe in divorce, and my dad was world's #1 dad, and I always thought my mom was different, but she's just a homewrecker. So this was shocking, and I ended up disowning them. It's been almost a year. They constantly text me to let me know they miss me and wish they could see me again, but I just ignore them. I have a relationship with his kids, and they've told me that my dad has reached out to them to make amends, but they just refuse. Here's the thing. I used to be religious, by force, but not anymore. My parents go to church and actively participate in every activity. They even attend a group of married couples every Thursday, and they are friends with this older couple who are some kind of role models in the church community. We'll call them K and J. K and J showed up at my house 2 weeks ago because God told them to get me back to the right way. I'm sure my parents asked them to come because after they left, my parents texted me to ask if they came. So they started lecturing me about the importance of obeying and honoring our parents because we obey and honor God, that I should fulfill my duties, etc., among many other things. I was tired and didn't want to deal with them. So I said, okay, tell my parents that if they want me back, they can come and face the issue for once in their lives, and before you keep trying to convince me to go back to them, you should know that the reason why I disowned them is that my dad is a cheater who abandoned 4 kids in another country and didn't bother to support in any way, and my mom is a homewrecker who knowingly made her way into a marriage. Their faces went white and they left. I haven't heard from them, but my cousin says that my parents haven't had it easy. She says that no one in the church talks to them and excluded them from activity this week. Tell me, am I the jerk? Not the jerk. This is a roller coaster. Your mom sucks, your dad sucks. Thank God you are so mature to call them out on their BS. I also commend you on your maturity to reach out to your half-siblings and not hold a grudge against them. You are a gem of a person. Entitled Mom books the ice rink the wrong day and expects us to share. Background. I'm an adult figure skater and I practice in a big group of other adults. There are skaters going from beginners up to former elite skaters. During lockdown, the public rink we usually skate in has been closed, and occasionally we have rented a private rink for an hour to skate. It's a lot more expensive than our ordinary practice, but you gotta do what you have to. Also, it's incredibly hard to get these time slots since the demand is high. Skating is a safe sport, no worries. We are 8 people on the whole ice and change outside. It is all correct by our laws. A few months ago, we had rented the ice and arrived at our time. Since we are responsible and change outside, we couldn't see what was happening inside. Once I and one of the other skaters were ready to go on the ice, we headed inside, and by the rink side, we find about 10 parents and something like 15 to 20 kids ages 3 to 6. One of the moms, entitled Mom, approached me with a worried expression. Karen, are you the ones that rented the ice? Me, yes. Entitled Mom, you see, we were just informed that we booked the wrong day. Apparently, we booked next week this time, but we are here today. Me, I'm sorry to hear. What a bummer. Karen looks at me and the other skater. Is it just the 2 of you? The others are still tying their skates outside, and only the 2 of us had come inside. Me, no, we are a whole group. Can't we just split the ice in half? No. We're not here to joy skate. We're practicing seriously for several reasons. The first and foremost, it is incredibly dangerous. If I run into your kid, they will get hurt, and I risk hurting myself too. But I mean, it's your kid. Do you want them to get hurt? I would never, ever let my non-existent kids on the ice during a serious practice. Secondly, we rent the rink to be able to practice freely. Half the rink makes it impossible to practice your program. Third, kids usually drag a lot of mud onto the ice, either on their coveralls or the parents on their shoes when they walk to the ice to help them when they fall. Dirt and mud is a big no-no for skates. It'll wear them out quickly, and we'll have to pay for resharpening. Okay, here I kind of felt sorry for them. We all mess up sometimes and it sucks. Can't be fun to reschedule an event like this, and I get that. It's what happens next that makes this story entitled. The mom goes to the other parents, and I hear her saying silently, "I guess you could come next week if that fits you." She then goes to the kids, points to us, and says loudly, "These people don't want you to skate. They want it all for themselves," with a super accusing tone, like we personally were responsible for her mistake. I ignore her and step onto the ice together with the other skater. This commotion already cost us a few minutes of our short time. I see one more from our group enter the rink, and entitled mom speaks to her too. I can't hear it though. This woman later confirms to me that entitled mom tried the same trick on her, guilting her into letting them share the ice, and then asked if the kids, now all out of their skates, could at least walk on the ice to touch it. Since they're all wearing shoes and mud rule still applies, my friend declines. Also, when the ice is newly resurfaced, it is crazy slippery and very hard to walk on. Big risk of falling and hurting oneself. The rest of our group arrives and we start warming up. Half a minute later, Karen opens the gate and lets two of the kids run straight onto the ice. I wave at her to get them back off the ice, and she waits purposely before telling them to come back, only they don't listen. She lets them slide around however much they want. Eventually, she has to walk out on her muddy shoes to pick them up and go back. Not a sorry, no nothing. Not the worst entitlement, but it still boils my blood, especially how she tries to blame us in front of the kids. Kids are usually very fond of looking at us skating since it looks cool, and when we skate publicly, we often show off whatever they want to see or teach them something. I hate to be accused of being the bad guy. Keep stealing my lunch? I'll put something special in it for you. I attended first grade at a super conservative private school. I'm only 5 days older than the cutoff for being in kindergarten, so I'm the smallest kid in class, smaller than even all of the girls. My parents thought about waiting a year to send me, but I'm told I was super smart and bored at home, which pretty much condemned me to never having a chance to compete for most sports teams. More good background info. I was born when my parents were teenagers. My parents got married to do the right thing, but because of that, my dad works a factory job and money is super tight. I'm pretty sure in retrospect that my grandparents were paying for the private school tuition. We lived in what would be considered a rough neighborhood, and they didn't want me in the public schools. All of my clothes came from garage sales. I'm the stereotype of the kid who gets picked on in school. Little, poor, poorly dressed, nerdy. Despite that fact, most of the kids in my class were actually very nice to me. Like any school though, there were a couple of little jerk bullies, even at 6 years old. The ringleader is Charlie. Charlie is big. Charlie is dumb. Charlie picks on me all the time at recess and during lunch. Lunch is in our classroom at our desks, but our normal teacher gets break time and some ancient old lady comes in to supervise. She never notices anything. Charlie has like every transformer ever. I have 2 GoBots. Charlie pushes me down at recess. He teases me relentlessly. He has a toady or two, and they're smart enough to not tease me when teachers are looking. Charlie makes my life sort of miserable. The one time I told on him, I got some BS from the teacher on the playground about turning the other cheek, and the bullying just got worse. A few months into the school year, Charlie starts taking and eating things from my lunch. At this point in time, my favorite food in the entire world is spicy beef sticks, like a Slim Jim. Mom gets them from the little grocery store and butcher up on the corner. I know treats like that are a financial sacrifice for the family, but Mom loves me and puts one in my lunch every day. Charlie learns he likes beef sticks too and starts taking just that out of my lunch. Finally, one day, I tell my mom I don't want beef sticks in my lunch anymore. I can't tell her I'm being picked on, but she sees through me. Grilling ensues. I cry like a baby and tell her everything. I don't want her buying them so that jerk can just take them and eat them. At this point, most parents would call the school or Charlie's parents. My mom had to grow up quickly when I came along, and in some ways, she just stopped growing up altogether. No way in heck she's going to call the school. Get in the car, drive to the store, pet food aisle. These will do nicely. Mom has a plan. We replace the beef sticks in my lunch with dog treats. Don't tell Charlie what he's eating. Not on the first day, not on the second day. Act normal, act upset. Wait until he's eaten almost all of them. Day 1, it worked. Day 2, keep eating the horsey goodness, Charlie. Like a week goes by. Finally, it's Friday. Today is the day. I put the bag of dog treats in my desk and made sure Charlie doesn't see it. Lunch rolls around. I wait until Charlie steals my beef stick and goes back to his desk. I wait until he's chewing on it. I pull the bag out of my desk and show everyone. I point and yell, "Charlie's eating dog treats!" The plan goes off perfectly, like it's Mission Impossible. Charlie spits the half-eaten dog treat out on the desk and starts gagging now like he's going to throw up. Some of the other boys start barking at him. The entire class is yelling and laughing and barking. Charlie gets up, crying, and runs out of the classroom. The old lady lunch monitor has no clue what just happened. She's only concerned some kid just ran out of the classroom and heads off to find him. The rest of us finish eating and go off to recess. I'm like a hero. I share the details of my heroic plan with other kids. No sign of Charlie all recess. Back to class, teacher returns, math or something. Vice principal comes in. The disciplinarian, the guy with a wooden paddle on the wall who'll get you for acting up. I have to go to his office. I'm about to burst out crying already. I'm so scared. My mom is already there. Charlie is sitting in a chair crying. Charlie's mom is there. It looked like he had thrown up on himself. Moms go into the office with the vice principal. Lots of yelling. I figure I'm done for. Mom comes out, tells me to go back to class. Charlie's mom comes out and tells him he's grounded for stealing and picking on me. Then she tells my mom it will never happen again. From then on, Charlie is nice. Super nice. He even invites me to his birthday party. I gave him a GoBot.
Huge shout out to our newest official channel member, Richard Burner II. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It really means the world to Reddit Boy and I. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video.
Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.